What if the greatest revolution in human consciousness was not a war, or a new king, or a scientific discovery, but a whisper? What if, in the early 1600s, a series of anonymous pamphlets simply appeared across Europe, published by no one, and yet claiming to be from someone, a secret, invisible brotherhood that had already lived for centuries in silence? These documents announced a universal reformation of all mankind. They promised to share a secret wisdom, a pan-sophia, or all knowledge, that combined the deepest secrets of alchemy, the mystical heart of Christianity, the lost magic of the Arabs, and the wisdom of the ancient Egyptians. They offered this knowledge freely to heal the sick, to end the division of science and religion, and to usher in a new golden age. But they had one condition. They would remain invisible. You could not find them, they would find you. This was the explosive arrival of the Fraternity of the Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians. In a world tearing itself apart with religious wars and dogma, this invisible college sent out an invitation. It was an invitation to a secret doctrine. But what is this doctrine? What did this elusive brotherhood, allegedly founded by the mythical traveler Christian Rosenkreutz, actually teach? This is not a simple history lesson. The story of the Rosicrucians is a ludibrium, a divine play. To ask if they were real is to ask the wrong question. The real question is, what is the wisdom they unveiled? In this video, we are not just going to look at the history. We are going to pull back the veil. We will explore the legend of their founder and the discovery of his magical, uncorrupted tomb. We will decode their master symbol, the rose blooming upon the cross, and why it is the ultimate key to human transformation. And most importantly, we will uncover the practical alchemy at the heart of their doctrine, the great work of turning the lead of the mundane, suffering self into the pure gold of enlightened consciousness. This is not knowledge for a museum. It is a set of living techniques, as powerful today as they were 400 years ago. The secret doctrine of the Rosicrucians is not a secret that is kept from you. It is a secret that is kept for you, waiting to be unlocked. Our story begins not with a known fact, but with a rumor that set Europe ablaze. Between 1614 and 1616, two small anonymous documents were printed and circulated: the Fama Fraternitatis, the rumor of the brotherhood, and the Confessio Fraternitatis, the confession of the brotherhood. These texts told an incredible story. They spoke of a German pilgrim, a noble and pure-hearted man known only by his symbolic initials, CRC, or Christian Rosenkreutz. Christian Rosenkreutz, they said, was the first stone of their order. This was not a man, but a parable for the soul. The legend states he traveled as a young man not to Europe's universities, which he found to be stale, arrogant, and lost in argument, but to the east. He journeyed to the mystical city of Damcar in Arabia, to Fez in Morocco, and to Egypt. He did not go as a conqueror, but as a student. And what did he learn? He was initiated. He learned the perfected magic of the Arabs, the elevated physics of the North Africans, and the ancient primal wisdom of the Egyptian Hermes Trismegistus. He gathered the secret scattered threads of Hermeticism, Gnosticism, and alchemy. He saw that these were not separate paths, but one path. He synthesized them into a single, perfect system of knowledge. He returned to Europe, eager to share this pan-sophia, this universal wisdom, with the scholars and rulers of his time. He offered them a way to heal all division, to unite science and faith, to cure disease. And he was rejected. Utterly. The world was not ready. So, like the wise man he was, CRC did not try to force the truth. He instead gathered a small, select group, just a handful of others. He founded the original Fraternity of the Rosy Cross. Their mission? To preserve this wisdom, to heal the sick for free, to seek no worldly gain, and to remain utterly anonymous. They would be an invisible force, gently guiding humanity from the shadows. The legend concludes with the most potent symbol of all. After a long life, CRC died and was placed in a secret, seven-sided tomb. The location of this tomb was lost to the Brotherhood for 120 years. Then, as the manifestos tell it, the brothers discovered a hidden door. They opened it, and what they found inside is the very heart of the Rosicrucian doctrine. Inside, the vault was lit by an ever-burning lamp that had not dimmed in 100 years, a symbol of the immortal, undying spirit. In the center was the uncorrupted body of Christian Rosenkreuz himself, holding in his hand the Book T, the most secret of all texts. The tomb was not a place of death. It was an initiation chamber. It was a time capsule of wisdom, opened precisely when humanity needed it most. This discovery, they claimed, signaled a new age. The Rosicrucian furor that followed this story was immense. Philosophers, scientists, and alchemists, men like Robert Fludd, Michael Meyer, and even Francis Bacon, were all captivated by this call. The Invisible College had made itself known, and the Western esoteric tradition would never be the same. At the heart of the Rosicrucian doctrine lies the most powerful and misunderstood symbol in all of Western esotericism: the rose and the cross. For centuries, this emblem has been seen by the uninitiated as merely a fusion of occultism and Christianity. But the secret truth is far more profound. The symbol is not a static object of worship. It is an alchemical formula for the total transformation of the human soul. First, consider the cross. This does not simply represent the crucifixion in the historical sense. In the Rosicrucian view, the cross is the universal symbol of matter and limitation. The four arms represent the four elements: earth, water, air, and fire, the foundation of the physical world. It is the plane of suffering, density, and human ignorance. The cross is the anchor that binds the spirit to the cycles of birth and death. It is the human body itself, the cross of flesh, upon which our conscious existence is anchored. To be alive is to be crucified upon the cross of time and space. But then there is the rose. The rose, always depicted in full, vibrant bloom, rests at the exact center of the cross, covering the intersection. The rose is the soul. It is the divine spark, the pure, unfolding consciousness that dwells eternally within you. It is the quintessence, the fifth element that is non-material yet gives life to the material world. Its petals represent the cyclical unfolding of awareness, the chakras or centers of spiritual energy that blossom as the individual advances on the path. The Rosicrucian secret is the union of these two forces. The goal is not to escape the cross, to reject the body, the world, or the challenges of material life. The goal is to make the rose bloom upon the cross. It is the process of consciously taking the pure spiritual essence, the rose, and fully permeating the dense matter, the cross, with its light. It is the spiritualization of the earthly, the point at which the divine fully manifests within the human. This work, this conscious flowering of the soul, is what they called the great work, the magnum opus. How is this transformation achieved? The Rosicrucian path teaches that the divine has revealed itself through two equally sacred texts: The first book is the Book of Scripture. But the brothers taught that this text is not to be taken literally, but alchemically. The stories of creation, the prophecies, and the life of Christ are not history alone. They are ciphers for the psychological and spiritual processes that must occur within the individual seeker. To read the Bible is to read an encoded map of the internal journey from the lead of the ego to the gold of enlightenment. The second book, and arguably the most emphasized, is the Liber Mundi, the Book of Nature. The Rosicrucian believe that God, as the ultimate architect, wrote an entire volume in the stars, the minerals, the plants, and the human body. Every aspect of the natural world is a hieroglyph waiting to be decoded.
The second book, and arguably the most emphasized, is the Liber Mundi, the Book of Nature. The Rosicrucian believed that God, as the ultimate architect, wrote an entire volume in the stars, the minerals, the plants, and the human body. Every aspect of the natural world is a hieroglyph waiting to be decoded. To study the stars, astrology, is to read the greater cycles of destiny. To study the body, medicine, and anatomy, is to read the microcosm of the universe. To study the transmutation of metals, alchemy, is to study the physics of spiritual change. The true Rosicrucian is the one who can read both books simultaneously. They use the map of Scripture to navigate the internal self and the symbols of nature to understand the laws of the universe. When these two readings merge, the student achieves Gnosis, and the rose begins its glorious, unstoppable bloom. The rose and the cross provide the symbol, but the process of the great work is detailed most explicitly in the Rosicrucian alchemical writings, particularly in the mystical Third Manifesto, The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosencreutz. This is not a tale of a literal marriage, but a breathtaking, elaborate allegory for the internal spiritual process required to achieve the rose's full bloom. For the Rosicrucians, alchemy was not about transforming lead into physical gold. It was about transforming the base, suffering self into the flawless spiritual form, the philosopher's stone of the soul. This inner alchemy follows the three great stages of transmutation. First, there is the Nigredo, or the blackening. This is the stage of dissolution and chaos. Psychologically, this is the forced confrontation with your own shadow self. It is the dark night of the soul, where all false certainties, cherished illusions, and the rigid structure of the ego are shattered. Just as the alchemist must break down the raw ore, the seeker must acknowledge the base metal of their fear, ignorance, and reactive desires. Without the willing embrace of the blackening, no true spiritual work can begin. Next comes the Albedo, or the whitening. Having been dissolved, the matter must be purified. This is achieved through the light of Gnosis, the knowledge gained from the two books of God. This stage involves the intellectual and intuitive cleansing of the self, where the waters of knowledge wash away the impurities revealed in the Nigredo. The mind is trained to see reality not through personal bias, but through the objective, symbolic language of the cosmos. This purification prepares the soul, the White Queen, for its ultimate sacred union. This leads us to a lesser-known yet critical concept in their doctrine, Pansophia, or the All-Wisdom. The Rosicrucians understood that all genuine traditions, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Sufism, Christian mysticism, and even pure science, were merely different vocabularies for describing the same singular truth. They sought to end the brutal religious divisions of their age by revealing this central, unifying root. They were the original perennial philosophers, arguing that if you peeled back the dogma, the core laws were identical. The Rosicrucian secret is not a new philosophy, it is the synthesis of all true philosophies. And here lies the ultimate nuance of the invisible college. The manifestos were a spiritual litmus test. They weren't seeking physical recruits. They were seeking individuals whose souls were already in the stage of albedo, individuals prepared to recognize and receive the Pansophia. The secret society is not a club you join, it is a state of consciousness you achieve. The Rosicrucian, in essence, is anyone who has consciously dedicated their life to performing this beautiful, harrowing, necessary inner alchemy. The entire purpose of the Rosicrucian doctrine is not to satisfy intellectual curiosity, but to provide a method. The true invisible college is composed of those who, regardless of society, lineage, or title, are actively performing the great work. This transformation is not granted by membership, it is earned by application. How do you begin the sacred alchemy of the self? You start by integrating the 2 books into your daily consciousness. Reading the Liber Mundi, the book of nature. The Rosicrucian seeker learns to use the world as a constant teacher. This is a practice of symbolic observation. The technique. Take time each day to observe a single object in the natural world. A stone, a body of water, a flowering plant. Do not label it, but ask, what is this thing saying about the laws of the universe? The stone teaches permanence. The wave teaches flux. The seed teaches the power of hidden potential. Observe a tree. Its roots are your hidden unconscious past. Its trunk is your grounded conscious present, the cross, and its branches reaching the light are your spiritual aspirations, the rose. This daily practice breaks down the illusion of dead, separate objects. It transforms the universe from a collection of chaotic incidents into a living hieroglyph, a constant, active message from the divine architect. You realize the truth of as above, so below, not as a theory, but as an observed fact. You are never without a teacher. The Rosicrucian Retrospect, the inner alchemy. This is the most powerful technique for the Nigredo, self-confrontation, and Albedo, purification stages. It builds the ever-burning lamp of pure, objective consciousness within you. The technique. Before falling asleep each evening, review your entire day, not chronologically, but in reverse. Start with the moment you got into bed and move backwards to the moment you awoke. Watch your day as if you were watching a movie starring another person. Observe where the base metal of the ego arose. Where did I react with fear? Where was I unkind? Where did I waste my vital energy? Do not judge or feel guilt, merely record and understand. The benefit? By reviewing the day in reverse, you sever the emotional attachments to the events. You train your awareness, the rose, to separate from the mechanical actions of the flesh, the cross. This objective self-knowledge is the lapis, the purified matter necessary for the chemical wedding. This deliberate separation purifies the soul nightly, preparing it for the work of the coming dawn. Blooming the rose on the cross, active service. The final stage is the Rubedo, the reddening. The rose cannot bloom only in the dark. It must offer its fragrance to the world. The technique. The Rosicrucians lived in the world, not separate from it. They vowed to use their knowledge to heal and help, free of charge. You too must choose an area of your material life, your cross, your job, your family, your community, and consciously bring your illuminated awareness, your rose, into it through selfless service. This is not about grand gestures. It is about bringing compassion, patience, and wisdom to your ordinary interactions. Overcoming the challenge. The greatest obstacle here is the ego's demand for recognition. The mind constantly seeks credit for the good work done. The Rosicrucian challenge is to perform this service in perfect anonymity. Let the act itself be the fulfillment. This is the ultimate proof that you are working not for the world, but for the great work itself. So, who were the Rosicrucians?
Were they a secret brotherhood of German mystics? Or was the entire movement, as some historians suggest, a magnificent, calculated ludibrium, a divine joke played upon a world obsessed with certainty? The truth is, it doesn't matter. The power of the Rosicrucian doctrine lies not in the historical question of who they were, but in the timeless wisdom of what they taught. They left behind not a dogma, but a blueprint for the total reformation of the soul. They showed us that the rose and the cross is the master formula of existence, teaching us not to reject our humanity, but to spiritualize it. To use the challenges of the material world as the very foundation upon which our divine consciousness can bloom. They gifted us the two books, the ciphers of scripture and the hieroglyphs of nature, insisting that the true seeker must unify the inner and the outer, the spiritual and the scientific. And they revealed the path of inner alchemy, the difficult, necessary stages of Nigredo, Albedo, and Rubedo required to transmute the lead of ignorance into the pure, radiant gold of Gnosis. Their deepest secret is this: the invisible college is composed of consciousness, not membership. The manifestos that appeared in the 17th century were not recruitment papers. They were an open invitation to all capable souls to undertake the great work. The mystery of Christian Rosicrucians' uncorrupted tomb, lit by the ever-burning lamp, is simply the metaphor for your own higher self, preserved perfectly within you, waiting only for your conscious readiness to open the vault. The tools are now in your hands, the symbolic observation to read the world, and the Rosicrucian retrospect to master the self. Will you answer the call? Will you accept the challenge of this ancient anonymous fraternity? Will you dare to become the alchemist of your own soul and add your light to the invisible college that is still, silently, working to heal the world? We ask you to begin your work tonight. Look for the rose blooming in the most unexpected places, and know that the true journey begins not in the past, but in the conscious, deliberate present.